Hey YouTube. Well, I'm going to talk about this show. I just saw this show, American Soul. Okay, this is a story about Soul Train. It's basically a story about Don Cornelius, but and him starting his company. Yeah, more so. This was interesting to me because this was a book that I considered writing. Not from the angle they're taking it. This is, I think, done by Don Cornelius' son, who had the real inside track. But when I arrived in Hollywood in 1976, the Soul Train dancers were like stars on the boulevard. They were like between being a celebrity and being a regular street person, person around the neighborhood, because they were on this show. So at one point, I considered writing about their story because for me, my whole my teenage years, I watched Soul Train. Right, I lived in Indiana. And it never occurred to me, I don't know why, it never occurred to me that these dancers were gay people. I don't know why it didn't occur to me, but I guess it's not that as important as I thought it was. Because when I got to Hollywood in '76, I was amazed to see that, oh, these people are all gay. It's almost the same effect that, like when I first found out about gospel singers. I wrote this book, Loving Gospel Music, and it turned out to be a 4-book series, right? But it was based on the fact that I was exposed. It was the first exposure I had to groups of gay people. I worked in a theater, and these guys performed there. And when I went backstage, I was an usher there. I discovered that they're not only a couple of them were gay; they were all gay, and that just blew me away. Stayed with me for the rest of my life because I ended up writing about it. I'm making a series about it. So the same thing. I said, well, what's another series I can write about? And it was, Soul Train. That would be interesting. I can pull, fictionalize a few characters. I didn't know quite a few characters. My roommate was a Soul Train dancer. He became a celebrity singer. But at the time that I met him, he was a Soul Train dancer, right? And most of the dancers were gay. So when I saw this new series advertised a couple of days ago, I said, damn, well, somebody did the story. I said, okay, I'm going to watch this story only up until the point that if I see that they are now straight washing all the characters, making everybody straight, I'm not going to watch that. I want to know the real deal. Right? So today I decided to go ahead and watch the series, see what it's about. I recommend this series. It's very well done. This is more of a story of not the personal life of the dancers so far. It's more about Don Cornelius and celebrities. Celebrities like Gladys Knight, his experience trying to get James Brown, and many of the performers, right? So it's from a totally different angle. And the reason why I decided not to write the story is because I really didn't know anything about the people. I didn't know anything about the story. I didn't know anything about Don Cornelius. I didn't know anything about the production. I didn't know anything about when they came from Chicago to LA. I just figured, well, it should be done. It'd be an interesting story, but someone else should do it. Well, now someone that has done it, it made a series out of it. So I was impressed. I liked it. You see, it starts off with Don Cornelius blowing his brains out. Okay, so we know that in 2012, Don Cornelius took his own life. I was never clear on why. I assumed that it was something about his health. But they open with that, and then they quickly move from him shooting himself in the head as he's watching Gladys Knight on Soul Train, which is one of his first big acquisitions. One of the first big people that he was able to get on the show. He's watching that, pulls the gun out, and kills himself. So I imagine we're going to find out why the why, because I don't think the answer actually came out as to why he did this. But it's the first episode. Okay, so this is the premiere parts 1 and 2 that I watched. He started off in Chicago. He's from what I can tell, he already has a show in Chicago, but it's not called Soul Train. I don't believe in the beginning. So this episode and put the company together. Okay. Then we flash forward to 1971. 1971 is when this show starts, right? Okay. One of his first big things. Well, his show is already in the beginning. He's already in the show, right? 71. But he's trying to get bigger celebrities, and the primary thing, his goal is to go national with the show. I guess it's syndicated in a few cities in the Midwest, but he wants to take it national, and he wants to take it to Los Angeles, right? So when it started in 71, I came to LA in 76, so they were definitely already in LA in 76. So I guess this whole thing took place over a 6-year period. Okay, let's see what happened. He tries to get, for one of his first big acts, James Brown signed on. James Brown is surrounded by all kind of handlers. He never actually meets him. But this guy, this greasy guy, who is played by the one who played Basie Skanks, is he always got to be a sleazy character? Yes. I think he's better suited for this than he was on Greenleaf. On Greenleaf, he plays kind of a shady type pastor. On here, he appears to be a businessman. Him and Don Cornelius are working together, right? He's also a promoter, so he's the one that introduces him to Gladys Knight. Gladys Knight is his first big celebrity, and then we get to see not only her singing on the show, but we get to see when she first created the song "Midnight Train to Georgia." Now I don't know if it was a typo or something happened, but she says the song was called "Midnight Train to Houston," but when she sings it "Midnight Train to Georgia." So I don't know. So they show us how this song came about, which is interesting. Of course, they always had celebrities there. I thought, well, I'm going to watch this show until they make everybody straight, right? Because in my mind, I'm still thinking of 76 when I went to the club and everybody was gay, and I was amazed. I thought that was just amazing. This show, a couple of their dancers, so far they've only really talked about 2 of the dancers, right? They're brothers and sisters. They can also sing. And this other guy who ends up getting in trouble was their lead singer. He fades out, and these 2 join the show as dancers, right? Now, I don't know if this is Dama. What's that girl named? Dama Joe or something? There was one dancer that became a choreographer. Maybe this is her and her brother. I don't know. I don't think it's Jody Watley. They're not using names here, but Jody Watley was also a group that came out of Soul Train. Jody Watley, the group was called Shalimar. And I did meet them. And we went to some of the similar places. Back then in 76, the clubs they hung out at Maverick's Flat. And I never made it over there. But they also hung out at a place called the Catch One, which is where I would see them. You know, people would gather around them to watch them dance in the club even. And they had this smaller place in Hollywood called Geno's, where I got to know some of these dancers personally, right? So for me, it's kind of a big thing because they were gay people. But I said I'll watch the show to make everybody straight. But so far, they are all straight. But there's no reason why they wouldn't be. This is not from my perspective. My perspective was of just focusing on the dancers, which is all I really knew about was the dancers. All anybody really knows about on at home watching them on TV, you know. You know the dancers. We know they have big celebrities on there, and we know everybody lip sync. Now I don't know if they totally lip synced or did they just sing to tracks. That has not been revealed yet, but you never see a band on Soul Train, or very rarely you see a band on Soul Train. Generally speaking, they were either singing to tracks, singing with tracks, or just lip singing. Right? Okay, Kelly Price, she plays the mother. Now whose mother is Kelly Price? Is the mother of these two dancers who can actually sing. They dissolved their group for the moment. Kelly Price is their mother. Their father is in Vietnam. At some point, the father is actually killed in Vietnam. That's kind of like the climax of these first 2 opening episodes. And the guy, one of the dancers, he wants to go to Vietnam like it'd be like his father. But now he's finding out that his father's been killed in Vietnam. So hopefully that's going to change his mind. they're not using the same names with these people. So there were certain names that I knew. Was Damon Joe Freeman was their name? I don't remember. They were one of the primary dancers. I know Jermaine Stewart was. That was my roommate. So he came with them from Chicago as well. Tyrone Proctor came with them from Chicago. So for us, they were minor celebrities. They had this magazine. What was it called? Right On magazine, I think. They made them all celebrities, but they give them no money. Now, this one thing I did see in there, that I said, okay, they are going to stick to the script, because when they're showing them dancing in LA, they show this big table, right, with Kentucky Fried Chicken, boxes of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now, I remember that. I went on that show. That's what I remember. That's all they got was a 2-piece with a biscuit, and I think one side. That was the only pay they got, because they were filming all day, right? They would do several shows in one day on the Saturdays. So, okay, so I'm not going to throw the show away because they're not talking about gay people. They're talking about Don Cornelius, and they're talking about the entertainers and that angle. They may not even go into the personal lives or the sexual lives of their dancers. That would only be interesting to me. So I could technically still write my book. I mean, it would be fictional. And, you know, if you write fiction, you're going to offend people, because you're going to say, oh, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like that. Well, basically, I don't have enough information to do it. But I recommend the show. It was good. It's done well. It's done well. Only thing about BET, y'all got so many commercials. Now, commercials are what it's all about, really. That's how they're making their money. So I guess they're making their money on this show. But I strongly recommend it. I'm looking forward to part 3. This is part 1. It's a two parts of the premiere. Okay, so maybe I'll check in with this show. Usually I only do one show, and that's usually something on. But maybe we'll see if we can do this as well. I think it's an interesting story. And I would like to know what happened with Don Cornelius. When he killed himself, I assumed it was maybe he had cancer or something. But we don't know. And we'll find out. Okay, the show is called American Soul. The story of Soul Train. Later.